Hi, Gerhard Bloom, once again looking at the tyranny and delusions of the social justice movement. So Zohran Mamdani, right? This is, if you didn't know otherwise, you would think he was the creation of the Babylon Bee. He's the guy, the Marxist, Muslim, radical candidate for mayor, won the Democratic Party's nominee. He's the Democratic Party's nominee for the mayor of New York. So, you'll forgive me, the litany of his idiocies is just too long for me to commit to memory. So, yes, he's a pro-Hamas, sympathetic individual for the genocide of Jews. He has absolutely nothing wrong with people screaming to globalize the Intifada. Now, for stupid leftists who don't know what the Intifada was, there were two of them, the last major one, thousands of Israeli citizens terribly wounded, misfigured, and killed. Yep. Random mass knifings, car rammings, suicide bombings in restaurants, a discotheque, city buses, right? Absolutely awful. And he wants to globalize this, right? That's him. BDS, that boycott, divest, and sanction Little Israel, right? Little tiny Israel. I've done a number of videos on Israel. It is fighting the war for Western civilization. And this cancerous Islamic ideology is conquering the West. So check out those videos so I don't have to go into too much of this. But I will mention here, right? You can be gay in Israel. Yep, do your own thing. The gays in Iran, they hang them from cranes. And in Gaza, they throw them from rooftops. This is what this guy's sympathies are towards. And he calls himself a socialist. How wonderful. Well, socialism is a cancer too. But no, he is a Marxist. He's a communist, right? He's on record as saying we need to seize the means of production. That means you expropriate businesses and industries. Yep, you take them over, government-owned, government-run, and you become a wage slave for the state. And it's always been a disaster. Compare under communism, East Germany and West Germany. North Korea today versus South Korea, right? Absolute toxic nonsense. Socialism and communism have always been disastrous failures. Here's an interesting Jeopardy question. Yeah, socialism is the answer. What is the question? The question is how to produce the greatest amount of human suffering, poverty, tyranny, and mass deaths in human history. The greatest engine of that is socialism. That's a fact. Marxism. He wants to give people a $30 minimum wage. Well, isn't that wonderful? Who wouldn't, some young kid going to high school make $30 an hour? What's the problem with that? Well, there's two major problems here. One is inflation, right? It drives up the cost. If you're on a fixed income, you're some retiree living in New York, struggling to get by, everything goes up, right? Because Donald Trump today could make every American citizen a multimillionaire. Yep, just print out the dollars, hand them all out, everybody gets $10 million. That just means that your dollars will have, the value of which will have shrunk by 10 million fold. The other issue with this, and Thomas Sowell points this out, no matter what the official minimum wage is on the books, the effective minimum wage is zero. If you are working for a company and you don't offset your cost to the employer fires you. Yep, thousands of people in California lost their jobs because of the rise in minimum wage, right? This is exactly what will happen. It'll work in both directions, right? Inflation and people will lose their jobs. Nice for that. Rent controls, right? How wonderful. It's not wonderful at all. This is how you get builders won't build, right? They see there's no profit in building, they don't build. And at the same time, the owners of these buildings, they can't raise their rent to keep up with that inflation that Mamdani is causing. They won't repair the buildings. You get crumbling, rat-infested apartment buildings, and you got no place to move. Where are you going to move to? Absolutely awful. State-owned, city-owned grocery stores. Well, this will create massive inefficiencies. When have you seen the government do anything efficiently? You know why that's the case? Same with free market capitalism, right? Competition in the marketplace drives prices down. Improves efficiency. And it will be expensive precisely because it's grossly inefficient. Free daycare, oh, how wonderful. Free transit, oh, even better. Except nothing is ever free. Who's going to pay for this? Where's this money come from? Mamdani says, oh, look at the rich white neighborhoods. Yeah, it's a white neighborhood. Fuck does white have to do with it? Why doesn't he look at the Korean, Chinese, Japanese, or Indian neighborhoods? All of those communities make more money on average than white Americans. That's a fact. Mamdani, he comes from a very, very privileged background. He doesn't know what it's like to try and eke out a dollar. But he wants to take your dollars and give it to whomever he chooses. No. And he doesn't believe it. He also wants to go after the billionaires because, they need to pay their fair share, right? Pay their fair share. Nobody's ever come up with a figure as to what fair might mean in this particular context. This is this flawed Marxist notion, oppressor oppressed. If somebody's getting rich, like say Jeff Bezos, he's getting rich and Amazon, he must be exploiting somebody. His employees, no, they're not slaves. If Jeff Bezos is underpaying them, they're free to find employment at another business. That's how that works. And you can best believe at a conglomerate like Amazon has executives making huge dollars, right? Huge dollars. The thing about, and Jeff Bezos, I buy tons of books from Amazon. It saves me both time and money. I can get it. I go to Indigo bookstore and occasionally I'll buy a book, but typically I'll look on my iPhone. I can get it cheaper at Amazon and I get it delivered to my door, right? So if I wanted to get a book, I don't have to drive out of my house. I get it to my door free. So Jeff Bezos is saving me time and money. He starts stealing my money or oppressing me, right? And this is the other thing. What Mamdani doesn't seem to consider is the billionaires that live in New York, they're free to leave. They will take their businesses and they will take their money with them and the tax base will shrink. This will turn New York City into a Marxist hellscape. The people who can afford to leave will leave and everybody else. Oh, and defund the police. Yeah, he was a big champion of that. And what happened with that? Yeah, black neighborhoods, inner city, little kids died because of defunding the police. Yeah. Anyways, check out my book, Deconstructing Social Justice. It's available on Amazon. And coincidentally enough, I discuss all of these topics and more at length, and I bring you the data. I bring you the groceries. Unlike Mamdani, he won't bring you the groceries. Anyways, thanks so much for your time and attention. Drop a thumbs up, gratifies my fragile male ego. Bye-bye now.